about the church right now, the thing that makes me hope the most is knowing the heart of the next generation that is coming up. It's a generation that is most concerned not about doctrine and getting doctrine right, but about whether or not that doctrine works. So they want to know that how does the gospel actually work in our world? And so they're a generation that's deeply, deeply concerned about the brokenness in our world. They're hyper aware of it. They're aware of gender brokenness. They're aware of systemic brokenness and poverty and world poverty. And I think that they're more aware than we were, actually, a whole lot more aware. And I think that now what they need is they need to be able to connect that awareness with the gospel and get to understand the fact that the good news of the gospel drives them into the world in order to be agents of salt and light, to create transformation in the world. As Jesus said, pray the kingdom down from heaven to earth. And I think that that's something that this generation is probably better set up for than any other generation that we've seen come before us. I think the greatest challenge of this generation is that it believes itself to be post-racial. And that's because it's a very diverse generation. They see themselves on MTV in a very diverse context and on VH1 and BET. And so they think of themselves as being post-racial. They listen to cross music a lot, like a lot of kids from the suburbs are listening to Jay-Z, and it's all good. But the thing about this generation is it tends to be very, very ahistorical. They're not very connected to the history, the stuff that got us where we are. And because they're ahistorical, they want to kind of live as if everything's okay. And honestly, the church is the worst at this, the worst. It's the place where I see the most segregation. In fact, it's funny, back in the day, wasn't it Billy Graham who said that Sunday morning is the most segregated time in any day or of the week, and 11 to 12 is the most segregated hour? Well, unfortunately, I think that we see that same thing playing itself out in the next generation. While they tend to, on TV, be very diverse, the reality is that in our daily lives, we're not. And we don't understand how our different histories have given us different experiences of this world. So I think that the greatest challenge that we face for the next century, really, and that this next generation faces, is the challenge of learning from our history so that they don't repeat it.